This is massive breaking news. The largest port in the United States, the largest shipping port, has been shut down. This affects 40% of all shipping cargo that comes from Asia has been shut down. And actually, multiple ports have been shut down on top of the largest one in the United States that's shut down right now. And it's actually been shut down for a few days, and things are deteriorating. Ships are backing up into international waters, and this is going to affect our supply chain. And this is a massive crisis. They're saying that they could potentially shut down all of the ports. All right. So this is a huge red flag, and it seems like another attack on our supply chain, another coordinated, organized attack on our supply chain to shut down the largest port in the United States right now. And we've already seen very similar things like this. Just a couple months ago, we had thousands of ships stuck in international waters because they had a massive cyber attack on their navigation systems and on their coordination systems, and they could not coordinate their deliveries and get them to the ports. They didn't know which ports to go to, where to go. All the stuff was locked up and cyber attacked. We keep seeing hit after hit on our supply chain, and now we've seen another massive hit on the largest port, and this could get a lot worse. And they're even saying that they could shut down up to 20 ports. And why is all this supply chain chaos happening right now? It seems like it's a coordinated effort to take America's supply chain and our ports offline. All right, so let's get into what's happening here. The largest port in the United States of America is shut down right now, and it's been shut down for multiple days. And one of the other top ports in the US in the same area is shut down as well. And they're saying up to 29 different ports could be shut down if this gets worse and it escalates. And this has already been going on for months, and now it's reached a tipping point where the port is shut down. So let's get into what's happening here. You can see here Southern California ports shut down Friday due to worker shortage, snarling cargo traffic. This just came out today out of the LA Times. And you can see here the Los Angeles port is the largest port in the United States. And in a normal year, this port alone moves 9.3 million shipping containers in and out of its ports. So this is a massive hub for our supply chain. And think of, even if it's just shut down for one day, that's tens of thousands of cargo that are not being delivered. All right, tens of thousands every single day. This adds up very quickly, and it's already been shut down for multiple days due to worker shortages, and this is due to these union problems. We keep seeing these massive union issues all throughout the world. All right, we had this happen in the United States with the trains. You remember that a couple months ago we were worried that the trains were going to get shut down. All the supply chains that move everything by freight was going to be shut down because of these union disputes. All of the freight unions had to come together and agree, and they didn't for months, and they kept threatening that they are going to shut down the trains in our nation. And now we are having a very similar issue with the ports. Now they are under negotiations, they are having worker shortages, they are not happy with what they are currently receiving, and these unions are organizing to shut down the ports in response. This is very serious, and this could affect global supply chains. All right, 40% of all goods from Asia and China come into this port. So this is a massive port, and they have shut it down, and they're warning 29 more ports could be shut down. So you can see here they are under contract negotiations right now, and they're having disputes. That's the story here. That's the cover story, to shut down our nation's supply chain. And these are real disputes. These are real people. They have real problems, but these unions are the one organizing it to a level that they can shut down the largest port in the United States. Absolutely insane. This should never be allowed, ever. Should ever. Do you think China shuts down their ports? You think China, you think Russia shuts down their ports because a union said so? You think they allow them to shut down their largest port in their country, a union? No, absolutely not. That does not happen, and it shouldn't happen here. And they're saying they have the power to shut down potentially 29 ports if they do not have negotiations settled by July 1st. So this is massive. And right here it says because their members can shut down ports all along the west coast, Shaken said, the Longshore Union has unequaled power, especially for the size of the labor force. And it says they cover 22,000 workers at 29 ports along the west coast. Quote, this has already caught the nation's attention and should add a sense of urgency to the negotiations. And it says the LA and Long Beach ports combined handle nearly 40% of U.S. imports from Asia, which arrive in giant metal containers or broad vessels that stretch to nearly the length of the Empire State Building. But goods movement has fallen sharply in recent months, allowing the combined ports of New York and New Jersey to intermittently grab the number one bragging rights away from LA. So they've actually been able to slow the traffic at this port to a point that it's technically oscillating between number 1 and 2 with New Jersey and New York ports as well, because they are slowing. It even says right there, but goods movement has fallen sharply in recent months. So they are even saying that it's falling out of the number 1 spot because of these problems, because they cannot process this cargo and ships are going to different ports. They're finding alternative routes. They can't just sit out there for months. They're losing money every single day. Their ships sit out there and they're piling up in the Pacific Ocean right now. So this is a massive problem, and we could see massive supply chain shortages. And we are already seeing this in different sectors of our economy, okay? GM's Mexico plant and also multiple other plants in the US and Canada had to shut down. And this GM Mexico plant had to shut down for the second week in a row. This was a couple weeks ago in the middle of March, but they shut down due to a parts shortage. And these parts shortages are not going to get any better with these ports shutting down as well, because a lot of these parts are made all the way in a factory in China. All right, they're developed in a factory, and even then, that's not even the base. The base is mining, all right, and ore refining, and then they make metal and they send it to these factories to make parts. All right, that's actually the base of it. So this is a very, very long supply chain, and there could be a problem anywhere in it. And then it's in a factory in China, and then a truck takes it to a port in China, and then the port takes it to our ports, and then a truck takes it to a warehouse here, and then a warehouse brings it to a factory here. All right, it's a very complicated and complex supply chain, and there could be problems anywhere along this supply chain, and we're seeing a massive bottleneck right now with these ports being shut down. And it's just, what are the odds that all these unions keep coming together? This happened in the UK a couple months ago as well too. They had to have the National Guard on the streets because they didn't have any ambulance workers and they didn't have any medical workers at the hospitals because of union disputes and union contracts, all these things. These unions are organizing to attack our supply chain. And I want people to have living wages. I want people to make decent money and be able to survive with the job they're working, all right? But we also cannot, it's always critical infrastructure. It's always the trains, the ports, the ambulances. It's always very critical infrastructure that, I'm sorry, how do these things even have unions? I'm sorry, but it doesn't even make sense to me how they are so powerful that they can shut down 29 ports. In the UK, they shut down all the ambulances. They had the National Guard driving the ambulances around the UK, all right? And they're not even prepared to do that. They were totally out of their element. They are not trained for that at all. And they were taking over hospital positions and ambulance positions and responding, being first responders pretty much, because they were refusing to work and do their job, right? And it affects our entire society when things like this happen. And we are seeing this more and more, and it feels like it's organized And the supply chain is going to get hit from this as well. It's already still having issues. All right, we're being told, oh, it's back to normal. It's all gravy. It's all good. But right here, this Mexico plant for GM shut down for weeks due to part shortage. And I was talking about how the base of it is mining and minerals for the supply chain, creating raw materials, harvesting raw materials. And look at this, all right? China is weighing an export ban for rare earth minerals to the US, all right? They know that these minerals are extremely valuable because the US has been hitting them hard on chip sanctions and semiconductor sanctions, and they essentially forced all US engineers to evacuate China or renounce their citizenship. So there was an entire American brain drain of engineers from China, and then they've also been putting restrictions on them on importing chips to China from other countries, trying to prevent, essentially putting sanctions on China to prevent other countries from sending them chips or semiconductors, pretty much telling China to screw off and you are on your own for semiconductor manufacturing and production. This is why Taiwan is so key, and this is why China wants Taiwan, because it has multiple facilities for this production already set up. And the US even said if China invades Taiwan, they will even destroy these chip manufacturers, all right? So they would rather destroy these chips than allow China to get them. That's the kind of proxy war we are already in, and that's what's already happening right now. And China is now weighing an export ban for rare earth magnet minerals as well, which are critical because look at this, all right? China used to control just a decade ago. They controlled 90% of the rare earth minerals, 90%. All these top minerals that are needed in our modern society for all this technology that we are building, China had a 90% lock on it, all right? And now they're down to 70% globally. They controlled 90%. They still control 70%. So they have a massive card that they can play, and it's essentially their ace of spades to say, hey, fine, if you are going to ban us all these other ways, we will stop you at the base of the supply chain and prevent you from getting these base raw materials. Good luck building any chips if you don't have any raw materials, if you don't have any rare earth minerals. Good luck building anything. It's impossible. Our whole modern society is based off of these rare earth minerals, and China has a massive lock and monopoly on them. And they are saying that they want to cut the US out of this loop. All right, the US has already responded, and they've been trying to build up their rare earth mineral mining the past few years, but it takes years. And it was even saying right here, all right, at the same time, China still holds a tight grip on processing rare earth minerals. So even if we can mine them here and they're available here, there's still no processing facilities in the United States. And we have to mine these rare earth minerals and send them back to China. Most rare earth extracted in the US goes to China for refining before being shipped back to the US. This is insane. This is lunacy. This is what our leaders have done to us the past few decades. They have sold out all of our leverage in the economy and the supply chain, just like what's going on here, just like these ports being shut down, all right? It's part of the leverage. They are selling out our leverage. They are shutting down our ports. They are crippling our supply chain. And same thing here. They've gotten rid of all the manufacturing. They've gotten rid of all the processing, all the mining, all of the base of the economy and the supply chain is not in America. We are essentially a service economy. Even our manufacturing is very weak manufacturing. We essentially are assemblers in America. Many of the parts are just shipped here and then we assemble them here. We put things together with parts that are already made. There's no base manufacturing of raw materials and raw parts in the United States, and it's because we've been sold out. How is that strategic for national security? to allow China to have 90% of rare earth minerals. And then at the same time, the 1% that we have to send it to China to process it, and they have to send it back to us. If we were in a war situation where China cut us off, and it's getting closer every single day, these scenarios are getting, look at this, all right? This is big news, and it will be swept under the rug. This is the